Hi book friends, this is Kat. Welcome back to my channel. So as you can see, I did get bangs and I like it. My husband likes it and I'm just getting used to like styling and doing them. So anyway, you're not here for my bangs, you're here for the video, and that is my November wrap up. So in November, I hit a reading slump. Actually, the first 2 weeks of November. So, with the whole reading, I did read a total of 6 books, which is still good. But I know I could have read a little more. I did not complete my whole TBR, as you saw in my December TBR video. So, I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into the statistics. So in November, I read a total of 6 books, like I said, and the ratings are broken down: 2 3.5-star reads, 2 4-star reads, and 2 4.5-star reads. So we're right in the middle of my rating system. And so, sorry, I keep messing with my bangs. All right, so for my books, let's go ahead and talk about the 3.5-star reads. And the first one I'm going to talk about is She Walked Before Us by Jill Eileen Smith. And this is essentially a book that goes through 12 different women in the Bible. And Jill Eileen kind of does like a short story where she kind of interprets how life might have been for them. She highlights a certain theme. So one theme in there that I remembered is about forgiveness, and it follows one of, I believe, David's wives. I hope that makes sense. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed reading probably more so the second half, because this was the book that I was reading during that reading slump, so I didn't get a lot from the first half of the book. I did enjoy, reading some of the interpretations, but it was just that second half that really caught my attention. Anyway, the back of each chapter has questions, and so I took out my own note-taking journal where I wrote down the questions and answered them. That's what I typically like to do with my nonfiction. And so yeah, I'm glad that I read it, and it's one more book read from my bookshelf. Okay, I would also give that a 3 for Christian fiction rating, and a 3 just means that definitely some big faith elements in it, and yeah. So okay, my next 3.5-star read is Boo Humbug by Renee Gutteridge. This also was a Christian fiction rating of a 3 because of the elements in there. There is a person who basically finds out what the real meaning of Christmas is, and it's a very touching moment. But I enjoyed the series. I enjoy seeing Boo grow in his character. My favorite one in this book is Alfred, because Alfred definitely kind of grew on me. So yeah, same quirky, funny, friendly town, I guess. I really did enjoy it, and they talk about fatherhood, motherhood, and I think that was pretty sweet. Okay, the next grouping is the 4-star reads, and this first one I'm talking about is In Spotlight and Shadow, and this is by Rachel Scott McDaniel. And I thought this was an interesting story. It's dual timeline. There were definitely this mystery that I enjoyed, and I enjoyed one timeline a little better than the other, but I liked how it connected. And so I think it really displays God's love well in the story. But essentially, like I said, it's dual timeline, and one is set in the 1920s during Prohibition, and the other one is more recent. And basically, there is this mystery surrounding this jewel that had been stolen. That's what I can remember from the book. So it was pretty early on this month that I read it, so I am having a hard time remembering it. But I do remember that part. So, okay. I would say this is a Christian fiction rating of a 2, because it was mostly talking about, God's love, like I said earlier. So, okay. The next book that I read was Isaiah's Daughter, and this was also my Chantel's Read Your Bookshelf Challenge book. And this was for the prompt second chance. And so I did read a previous book by Misu Andrews, and I ended up DNFing it, and I wasn't sure if Misu Andrews was going to be an author for me. I think part of the DNFing the first book was also had to do with maybe the audio, and I wasn't into the audio book at all. But nevertheless, I gave her another shot, and I am so glad I did. I think that she is a gifted writer, and I like her interpretations, let's just say. This book is very much centering around scripture, and it brought me to do my devotions in Isaiah. I also value that she really does stick close to scripture. I saw in Katie's Journey Through the Bible readathon with the author discussion that Misu Andrews, even herself, has mentioned how she really goes into scripture to help with her interpretations, and she doesn't go against it. And that's comforting to know that that she goes in with that mindset. And not just her, like any author who writes biblical fiction, and they really use the scriptures for guiding their stories, and then even as the reader is reading, also is drawn more to the scriptures. I think that makes an excellent biblical fiction writer, personally. So anyway, all that being said, this story is about a young kid, but she grows up, and obviously, but her name is, I think it's Ishma, and she is basically raised by Isaiah and his family, and you see her perspective, coming to know who God is. And then you see other perspectives, like Isaiah's perspective, Hezekiah, because it is during that time, so Hezekiah's perspective, and just seeing how, I guess, this character growth, how they grow and come to really follow God's will. I will say the first scene was very hard for me to read because it does deal with child sacrificing, and that is the first part of the book. So that was a hard scene. So I definitely want to let you know it doesn't go into great detail, but it is enough. At least for me, it was just enough. Anyway, that first scene was kind of hard to read for me, and the culture was interesting to read about, and it just made the Bible come alive to me. And I would highly recommend it. I am eager to try more books out from her. I gave this a Christian fiction rating of a 3 because it definitely has scripture all throughout it. And that's all I have to say about it. Definitely wanting to read more from her. Okay, my 4.5-star reads. I read No Ocean Too Wide by Carrie Turansky, and I enjoyed it too. I love a good sibling story. This is about siblings who get basically mistaken as orphans, and they're sent across the sea to Canada, and their oldest sibling comes and tries to bring them back home. And this first book definitely leaves on a cliffhanger, and I am eager to get into the second book, but I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed the history, and this is a true part of history where Britain does send orphans over to Canada to basically start a new life, and some have happy stories and some don't, and that's definitely what you're going to get in this book. And so anyway, I loved it. Christian fiction rating is a 3. because that is heavy in this book, talking about God's will and trusting in Him. The last book that I'm going to talk about is Appalachian Song, and this is by Michelle Shockley. Absolutely love this one as well. I listened to this on audio, and I loved how, again, there's a sibling story in a way. In this, you follow two timelines. One timeline is this young teenage girl, and it tells you in the synopsis that she is pregnant, and she is found wounded in the woods by these sisters who are spinsters, and one of them is a midwife, and so you kind of get their perspective throughout all of this. And then you have the second timeline where this country legend man is trying to find who his birth mother is, because he finds he's adopted. And so this book talks heavy in adoption, talks about midwives and some birthing things. And again, not too descriptive in my opinion, but they are some, I guess, sensitive topics in there, maybe like miscarriages and some deaths and stuff like that. Not a lot, but it was a very great read, and I am excited to read more from this author. This is also a Christian fiction rating of a 3. That's a quick rundown, hopefully it was quick, of my November wrap up. And I want to also mention that I did do the C.S. Lewis Readathon. So let me go ahead and go through those prompts and what I read / didn't read for those. So the first prompt was Narnia, a middle grade or fantasy, and I was supposed to read The Princess Pact. Did not get to it, nor do I have a book here that I could put in that slot that I have read. The next prompt was Mere Christianity, a Christian nonfiction, and I was supposed to read The Doulos Letters by Jim Mackey, and I did not get to that one either, nor do I have a book here that I could put in that slot. Technically, I started this book in October, so that wouldn't count. The next prompt is Space Trilogy, to read a sci-fi, and I was supposed to read Across the Ages by Gabriel Meyer, but my book actually came in late this month, and I still haven't gotten to it, but it's on my December TBR, unofficial TBR, but I'm basically going to get to it in December. All right, the next prompt was Till We Have Faces, a book with a female main character, and I was supposed to read Across the Ages, but I'm just going to slip into that slot in Shadow and Spotlight because there is definitely a female main character in that book. The next prompt is Screwtape Letters, a book about spiritual warfare or an epistolary novel, and I was supposed to read this book again, but I didn't get to it. The next book is The Four Loves, a book by a different member of the Inklings. And for this one, I put The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. And we are currently listening to this on Spotify. We actually just finished the part about the Ents going to Isengard. So we're not that far into the book, but I started it and I don't remember the percentage where we're at. But anyway, I'm enjoying this book a lot more than the first book. So yeah, I can't wait to listen to more of that. The next prompt is The Discarded Image, a book that inspired Lewis. And I originally had The Temple by George Herbert, but Morgan said that she would count The Two Towers for this one. So I am definitely going to slot in The Two Towers into that prompt. The next prompt is Surprised by Joy, a Christian autobiography. And again, it was this book, didn't get to it. And the last book is The Great Divorce, Stubborn Characters. And for that, it was The Two Towers. All right, so that was my wrap up. And I hope you enjoyed this video. My next video is going to be an announcement video for a yearly challenge. And so I'm very excited for that. And that should be coming up later on this week. So how did you do if you did the C.S. Lewis Readathon? I would love to know. I hope you have a great rest of the month, guys, and I hope you enjoy your reads this December. There's a lot of great readathons going on, a lot of great book content out there. I'm still trying to catch up on things, so we'll see, guys, but I'm excited nonetheless. I will talk to you in another video. Bye, guys.